Pagan peale või? Aga mis ma teen nende sõnumitega, kui nad tulevad? Miks minu ekraanil peavad tulema? Ja nüüd kadus hiir ka ära. Noh, hiir. 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 Tule siia. Noh, hiir. Näe küll, hakkan peale. Hello, Europe. Hello, everybody. My name is Theresa PCP, and I am the Chief Medical Innovation Officer at the North Estonia Medical Center. We are having no sound. No sound is no sound. I don't know why I don't have any sound.
We can listen to you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Good. At least somebody can hear me. Good.
There is one more thing that can't listen. No, there are outside people cannot hear us.
That's very strange, and I have absolutely no idea how to address this problem. Okay, let's try again. If there are more people who can't hear me, just let us know so that we will not have to speak all these consultation all over again to make people to hear.
Is there anyone not hearing, Terje?
Looks that there are some people who cannot hear. Yeah, maybe it is possible to exit and try again. Okay. Then. Now, let's start again. Hello. I hope now everybody can hear me. And I introduce myself again. Theresa PCP is my name. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at the North Estonia Medical Center. And I'm very happy to welcome you in our open market consultation of the pre-commercial procurement project of the EU, funded by the Horizon Europe, Theresa. We will have some slides throughout the meeting, and now if I can find my mouse, I will share my screen and we will see what we will do today. Now, no kus mu hiir on? Tuli. Sorry, it's always like this when it is about the technical issues. Now, you see the slides. So here we are. Today we will, my liigu. Slaidid ei liigu. Kas siin ei? No ei lähe. Vaata, kas liikus. Oh. So, sorry, technical problems. We will, after the introduction, we will we're happy to introduce some house rules, not so many, not difficult to remember and keep in mind throughout the consultation. Then we will present what is this project Theresa, what is public pre-commercial procurement, what does that mean, what means open market consultation, what are the technical aspects to keep in mind now throughout the project, and what is important to not forget in the beginning or throughout the project as well. And then we will have the pitching. And finally, we end up with the Q&A. As already written in the chat, please keep in mind that you can submit your questions at any time of the presentations. You can submit them either in the Q&A that is provided by the Teams program or in the chat, and you will get the answers. Some of the house rules that we would like to remind: it will be recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, then please switch off the camera. About the questions was already said, that use the chat room or the Q&A part of Teams. The recording and the presentations will be available on the project's website, and a list of participants will not be available. So these few items, please keep in mind. And as I said, we will start with the introduction, what the project is. Before that, I want to say from my side that I'm actually very happy about the project, Theresa, because not so many projects, in particular the coordination and support actions that are funded by the European Research and Innovation programs, have the real life effect afterwards. And Theresa is a result of the CSA project, coordination and support action, that was called Procure for Health. And Procure for Health was discussing some agreed common rules or important information that has to be kept in mind throughout the EU in order to procure for innovation in healthcare settings. And one of these aspects was about the sustainability that needs to be taken into account and needs to be addressed. And Theresa is a result of it. And I'm really, really very happy for this, very proud of it, because we, as the North Estonia Medical Center, were also part of Procure for Health program. We were the partners there. And now we are happy to host the second open market consultation of Theresa. Maybe, Jan, you would like to say a few words as the coordinator of the Theresa PCP about the project.
Yeah, thank you, Tere. Yeah, first of all, welcome to all the people attending this second event. We held a previous one last week here in Pamplona, and this is the second event of a series of events where we will try to let you know about the whole process of Theresa PCP, of the project, and the whole open market consultation process, and the following tender publication and implementation of the project. We all wanted to thank you for attending the event, for your participation today and in the following events, and also in the participation and the feedback that we hope we can receive from all of you. So just welcome and enjoy the session. If you have any question, just ask through the chat or through the Q&A section, and you can contact us for any doubt that you have about Theresa.
Microphone as well. Muchas gracias, Jan. I am happy that you are present throughout the meeting here, so that may be the questions that only the coordinator has the best view on. Now I'm very happy to have my colleague Andra Mikur next to me, opposite to me actually, at the table. She will present what Theresa is about.
Hello, everyone. I hope now you can hear me. Okay, so Theresa, as you heard, is a European pre-commercial procurement project. That means that this project connects hospitals with unmet needs to the companies that can develop innovative solutions that are yet not available commercially. And these innovations, they are not created through traditional procurement, but rather through structured innovation process. So we, hospitals as public buyers, work together to define challenges, and we test different solutions, and we also share the risk and benefits of innovation. And through this project, Theresa Consortium invests 2.9 million euros into innovation, into the solution that is really, really needed. So what is the challenge we are facing? As you all know, hospitals release a wide range of substances into wastewater, including pharmaceuticals, cancer drugs, pathogens, contrast agents, and residues that contribute to antibiotic resistance. Many of these substances cannot be fully removed by conventional wastewater treatment plants. And as a result, they reach rivers, they reach sea, to the soil, and ultimately to food and drinking water. And this is becoming increasing problem, not only environmental problem, but also health problem across Europe and across the whole world. So to be more specific, we are addressing very specific contaminants with this project. First, cytostatics that are used in cancer treatment. They are highly toxic and persistent, even at very low concentration. And that is why this is one of the most important contaminants we are focusing. Secondly, X-ray contrast agents. They are used mainly in diagnostics and in cardiology. And for example, ionated contrast media represents the largest contribution of micropollutants that are detected in hospital effluents. And it's significantly more than other pollutants. Thirdly, we are focusing on antibiotics. Of course, their presence in the environment contributes directly to antimicrobial resistance, which is a huge, huge problem in healthcare. And finally, we are also addressing antibiotic-resistant bacteria and resistant genes themselves. And now if we talk about the goal of this project, then based on these challenges, we are seeking for pre-treatment solutions that must meet specific characteristics. The solution, of course, has to be modular, meaning that the solution has to be scalable and adjustable to different needs. It has to be interoperable, which means that the solutions have to work alongside with the existing infrastructure. And importantly, they need to be adaptable to a wide range of hospital settings. It has to be adaptable to university hospitals, but also to smaller facilities. And that is why you have so many hospitals also on this consortium, so that it can be tested in different facilities. Each solution has to target at least one of the priority contaminant groups. And finally, beyond innovation, the solutions do not have to only meet environmental sustainability aspects, but also they have to be technically feasible. They have to be cost effective, of course, and ready to be integrated into real-world hospital infrastructures. So, as I already mentioned, there's quite a group of public buyers, different hospitals participating in this project. There is a hospital from Estonia, us, whom are introducing our context today. Also a hospital from Poland, from Netherlands, from Belgium, and 3 hospitals from Spain. And we are not doing it alone. In this project, which is quite a huge and complex, we have experts from different fields. For example, there are experts from innovation, environmental sciences, legal frameworks, and public procurements. And so it means that partners from Silo, Healthcare Without Harm, Corvers, DIC Biomed, Yetu are helping us in this project. So there is a huge consortium who are all here on one hand to help the hospitals to meet the hospital's needs, and on the other hand, to help all the people or all the enterprises contributing to this project to have a scalable solution at the end, which is ready for market, which is legally compliant and procurement ready. And now to you.
Back to me. Yeah, I just have to say that indeed that is the beauty of these European projects, that we are addressing a vital problem that is everywhere similar. Sometimes I think that now when I look outside and I see how much snow we have in Tallinn, then I believe that the water should not be a problem, but it's a European project. And we have to think not only from the point of view of drinkable water, but also the living environment, which is affecting each and all of us, and the nature, which makes it very important to reach the positive outcome of this project. Andra didn't mention in the beginning in her introduction, or maybe you said it while you were muted, but she is leading all the sustainability related projects in our hospital, and is quite experienced and very successful. So if you have any questions on that aspect, just shoot, and you will get a reply. Now, pre-commercial procurement, that sounds actually much more easy than it is in real life. So what it is from the technical aspects and how it will work, I am happy to hand the floor over to Ana Isabel Pero from our colleagues in Spain. So floor is yours.
Great. I'm going to try to share my screen, okay? Just, you're going to be seeing the same slides, but just so that it's easier to manage. You're seeing it, right? But I am going to make it presenters mode. Is it working now? Yeah? Wait one sec. Okay, so let me just start. And first of all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your interest in Theresa pre-commercial procurement, PCP. We really appreciate you being here and trying to understand what we are trying to do, and maybe even submitting a tender when the time is due. To do that, what we want to do in this short section of this today's session is to explain what pre-commercial procurement is and its legal framework. Just for you to know, there was a session Thursday. It's fully recorded. It goes more into detail on innovation procurement, both approaches, and so on. So if this is something appealing to you, I highly encourage you to check that recording. But today, don't worry if you weren't present there and if you don't have a knowledge on this, because what we are going to do is really briefly explain what pre-commercial procurement is, which is what Theresa PCP is all about. Really briefly, the legal framework, then the different phases of a PCP, not just Theresa PCP, how to progress from one phase to the other, and if you decide to submit a tender, how do you submit a tender and how are you going to be evaluated, so that you really understand what challenges will you be facing in due time. So without further ado, let me just start explaining what is pre-commercial procurement and its legal framework. So in a PCP, in a pre-commercial procurement, public buyers purchase R&D services to develop a solution. This is very important because in PCP, we are not purchasing supplies, we are not purchasing works, we are just purchasing the R&D services necessary to develop a solution. Because what happens is that a public buyer had a need, as Andra was presenting, and realized that the market didn't have a solution yet for their need. So we need to buy the development of that solution, and that is done under a pre-commercial procurement. What are the characteristics of this procurement approach? Because this is procurement, this is also very important. This is not a grant, this is not a subsidy, we are talking about public procurement here. So the characteristics of this type of public procurement is that we have a competitive development in phases. What does this mean in practice? So in practice, this means, and now I'm going to bring it back to Theresa pre-commercial procurement, what happens is that for phase 1, we will invite 5 suppliers to design a solution. These 5 suppliers, we will have a time frame to design this solution, and we'll have a maximum allocated budget. Then the successful ones, so the ones that successfully design the solution, will be invited to submit a tender for phase 2, to submit a proposal for phase 2. And the selected ones, 3 of them, will actually develop the prototype based on the design solution. As you can see, the technology readiness level of the solution was very low at the beginning, so it means that a lot of R&D was necessary for the solution to make it to the market. But now, in this competitive phased approach, we are little by little increasing the technology readiness level. The successful candidates, the successful contractors for phase 2 will be invited to submit a proposal and then to actually test the prototype that they have developed in phase 2. At the end of phase 3, we will have a working prototype in real-life environment, meaning that the solution is really close to the market. We are talking technology readiness level 7, 8. That's very high. And here it's where PCP stops. So pre-commercial procurement stops once we have a working prototype. Because if we want to purchase commercial volumes, we need to launch another procurement procedure. So Theresa PCP will stop once we have a solution that works in the hospitals of our public buyers and that tackle hospital wastewater and the toxic substances that Andrew mentioned. Another very important characteristic, really interesting for suppliers, is the risk-benefit sharing approach. In practice, this means that in general, in PCPs, intellectual property rights are allocated to the party that develops them, meaning the supplier. So the supplier keeps the ownership of the intellectual property rights, and in exchange for the price paid, the public buyers receive a license to use the solution up until the point that it's developed during the pre-commercial procurement. So maximum TRL 8, okay? So that's how it works in practice. So now we understand what pre-commercial procurement is. We know the main characteristics. What is the legal framework? So what is our regulation? Well, the thing is that pre-commercial procurement, if complying with these characteristics, falls outside the scope of the European public procurement directives. So that means that we have a little bit more leeway to ask, for example, for companies to be located in Europe or to actually perform the R&D services in Europe, develop their solutions in Europe. However, this does not mean that we can do whatever we want. That is definitely not the case. We are always bound by the general principles of the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union, mainly transparency, equal treatment, non-discrimination, and proportionality. So we always have to implement these principles. There is also a communication from the Commission already from 2007, so as you can see, fairly old, explaining what is pre-commercial procurement, the characteristics, and how to implement that. And of course, we are bound to that. We have to implement this communication. It also has a Commission staff-related working document, further explaining pre-commercial procurement. And this all is very important, because if we are complying with all the characteristics and we are exempted from the public procurement directives, pre-commercial procurement does not fall under state aid. So another key concept. Okay, so far we understand what is pre-commercial procurement. We understand the characteristics of pre-commercial procurement. We know what the legal framework of pre-commercial procurement is. How do the phases of a PCP work, and how do we progress from one phase to the next as suppliers? So as I was telling you, what happens and what will happen in Theresa PCP is that we will allocate certain periods of time to execute each of the phases. you have here the indicative time frame. I am saying indicative because, as you know, now, we are currently conducting the open market consultations. And one of the questions that we are asking the market, that we are asking you, it's the feasibility of the timeline and the feasibility of the budget. Because, of course, we are bounded by a strict deadline, but it's an overall deadline. So, for example, if we decide that for the phase one, the solution design, we need 4 months, that's fine. Then maybe we can reduce phase 2 or reduce phase 3. See what I mean? So this is not just fixed, it's just for you to understand more or less how it will work and what we have envisaged so far. What will happen again is that in phase 1, 5 suppliers, ideally 5 suppliers, will design this solution. They will have a maximum budget of 20K per contractor. So per contractor, it's important. Bear that in mind, because when you are submitting your tender, you're bound by that maximum budget, okay? Do not overstep that budget by phase. The successful ones will be invited to develop a prototype. This prototype will be developed in the premises of 2 Spanish hospitals. That's Consorcio Hospitalario de Vic and Servicio Andaluz de Salud. And then the successful ones will actually test this prototype that was developed and tested in lab conditions in the hospitals that are participating in Theresa PCP. Here we will have 2 suppliers. So the idea is that in phase 3, we will actually be testing 2 solutions. Okay, so as you can see, we are moving forward from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and reducing the number of competitors and the solution, and actually increasing the budget for each of these competitors. More on that. Now we are currently conducting the open market consultations, meaning that in parallel, we are defining our requirements, we are updating our state-of-the-art analysis to really understand what the market already has to offer. We are conducting a business case to understand the budget allocation, to understand what we can also ask and expect from the market and what the buyers expect as well. And we are preparing our tender documentation. Once we have done all these, we will duly publish this, and you will have all the information and all the tender documents. It is very important that you read these tender documents carefully, particularly tender document 1, which is the request for tender, and which will explain to you the rules of the game, meaning how to participate in Theresa PCP and what is expected of you in Theresa PCP in each of the phases. And then you will need to check and sign, if you're selected, the framework agreement and the specific phase contract. And let me go back to the framework agreement. The framework agreement, it's what we call an umbrella contract because it covers the 3 phases of the PCP. Let me give you an example with Theresa PCP. Imagine you're selected for phase 1. So you're selected for phase 1, and then you sign a framework agreement and a phase 1 contract. If you make it to phase 2, meaning that you have successfully completed phase 1 and that you have received an invitation for phase 2 and you submit an offer and that is positively evaluated, the framework agreement will remain valid. You will just need to sign a phase 2 contract. And same thing goes for phase 3. If you are one of the lucky candidates that make it to phase 3, what will happen is that the framework agreement will remain valid and you will just sign a phase 3 contract, okay? So as you can see, framework agreement covers all the phases. You just need to sign the relative contract for the phase. If you don't make it from phase 1 to phase 2, it's fine. The framework agreement together with the phase 1 contract will be terminated. That's how it works, okay? So that's how you make it from one phase to the next. If you have noticed, I have kept saying successfully completed, successfully completed, successfully completed. Why? Because I really need you to understand, don't worry, this will also be fully explained with details and with examples in the tender documents. But just for you to understand, there is a difference between satisfactory completion of a phase and successful completion of a phase, in the sense that if you have satisfactorily completed the phase, this means that you have submitted all your deliverables in time, you have done the work that you promised you would do, you have allocated the monies to the work that you promised you would do, so you have satisfactorily completed the phase. And that means that you will receive all the funds and all the payments that are due in exchange of correctly done work. However, to be invited to the next phase, we want you to go the extra mile in the sense that you need to successfully complete the phase, meaning that the R&D results that you're showcasing to us are promising. And that's also something that we will explain in the tender documents. Don't worry about that. But it's kind of going the extra mile. And then you will receive an invitation to submit a proposal for the upcoming phase. Okay, so important. Let's differentiate between satisfactory and successful completion, which is the extra mile. Okay, so you understand now what is pre-commercial procurement, its legal framework, the different PCP phases, how we move on from one phase to the next. Okay, but now how do I participate? How are you going to evaluate me firsthand? That's a really good question, and that's what we are going to deal in this last part of the presentation. Just for the sake of the explanation, in general, what we do is kind of two macro stage evaluation, in the sense that in the first macro step, what we do is evaluate the tenderer, so the company. We are evaluating you as a company, if we can work with you because you are also able to deliver the work, okay? And then in the second macro step, what we do is evaluate the tender. So now that we know that you are reliable and that we can work with you, we are going to evaluate your proposal of work. And we are going to do that in several steps. So in order to evaluate the companies, in order to evaluate you as a supplier, we are going to check eligibility, we are going to check exclusion criteria, and we are going to check selection criteria. Under eligibility, what are we checking? Since this is a pre-commercial procurement, and we have a little bit more leeway to ask for European companies or companies from the European Economic Area. And we can also ask for a performance in Europe. Under eligibility, we check that indeed is the case. So we normally will ask you to submit your registry in the Chamber of Commerce of a country located in Europe or in the European Economic Area, together with a self-declaration. Normally, we use a European single procurement document. That's the idea for Theresa PCP. We will also explain how you need to fill this in and where you need to fill this in. Don't worry about that. But yeah, that's what you will need to check. It is a self-declaration that helps us understand where you are located. We have checked that, so we move on now to exclusion criteria. In exclusion criteria, with this, what we are trying to check is that you're not a criminal, you're not a terrorist, you are not money laundering, you have paid your taxes, you have properly conducted procurement procedures in the past. Don't worry, we are not going to ask you to submit a lot of documentation. This is also a self-declaration that it's part of the European single procurement document that I just mentioned. The only thing is that we reserve the right to check that you are telling the truth. But in principle, you just need to fill in the European single procurement document. So we have checked eligibility, exclusion criteria, and we move forward to selection criteria. In selection criteria, what we want to check is if you as a company have the capability, the knowledge, the skills, and the experience to deliver the contract, to deliver the subject matter of the contract. How do we check that? Very simple. We will ask you for reference projects. So I've worked doing that in the last 5 years. I have this personnel working for me and they have this experience. So you will need to submit some CVs, these kind of things. Again, it will be duly explained in the tender documents. You will find a table clearly explaining what you need to submit to prove each of these selection criteria. So as you can see now, we have already assessed that you as a company are reliable and that we can work with you for this project. So now we will move on to check your tender. How do you plan to address the challenge under Theresa PCP? And for that, we will first check the compliance criteria. Compliance criteria just helps us to understand if we are indeed purchasing R&D services. We will do that checking your budget, because of course in your budget you will need to indicate what are R&D services, if you're using supplies, what kind of things you're proposing to use and where you're allocating the money. And if over 50% of your budget goes to different activities that are not R&D, we will know that this is not R&D services, okay? Again, it will be also clarified in detail in the tender documents. Do not panic, you will see that. But just for you to know, this is something that we check. We will also check that you are indeed going to perform the contract in Europe or a European Economic Area country. How do we do that? Well, we will ask you, for example, to submit proof that you have testing locations or developing locations, labs in Europe. How do we do that? Well, for example, you can send the renting invoice from your lab. Okay, we will also clarify that. I'm just giving you examples here, but don't worry, because in the tender documents we explain everything and how can you prove everything. Plus, you will have the possibility to ask as many questions as you want. We really like questions, so if you have questions, always more than welcome. Once we have checked compliance criteria, we will move on to pass-fail award criteria. Pass-fail award criteria are absolutely mandatory requirements that all tenders, all proposals need to comply with, meaning that we want the solution to have these functional and technical requirements. If your tender does not address them, we cannot select. Okay, that's different from the weighted award criteria, because in the weighted award criteria, we are going to include things that are nice to have, that we would like the solution to have. So we will give you additional points if you have that. But that doesn't mean that if you don't have them, you are excluded. Okay, so it's just going the extra mile, getting the extra points. So now you know how are we going to evaluate you. As you have heard, there is a lot of documentation to be submitted, and we know that that can be complex. So that's why in your tender documents, you will always find a checklist of documents and proof. So you will have a list of all the tender documents, what the tender document does, and if you need to take action there. And then you will have another checklist indicating what kind of documentation you need to submit and where. Let me explain that. As you can see here, I am saying envelope A, envelope B, envelope C. First, let me tell you that you will not be submitting letters. We are not doing paper anymore. It's just taxonomy, okay? Under public procurement, we call envelope A, envelope B, envelope C, the electronic archives that you need to separately submit with different documentation. Under envelope A, we are talking about administrative aspects. Here is the first macro stage. Here you are going to submit all the documents that I need, so to check eligibility, to check exclusion criteria, and to check selection criteria, to understand if I can work with you, if you're a reliable company and you comply with my administrative requirements. So that means trade register, European single procurement document, if you're working in consortia, a consortia statement, the reference of the cases in which you have participated to prove that you have this experience and that you can work with us, the CVs of your staff so that we know that you have the knowledge and the skills and the capabilities to deliver the project. And of course, we were saying, I want you to actually develop the solution in Europe. How do you do that? How do we check that? Well, prove that you have testing facilities in Europe. That's also going to be submitted here. Then we will have envelope B, which is the technical envelope. You will find here a technical form, including self-declaration, in which we will be able to check the compliance criteria, the pass-fail award criteria, and the weighted award criteria. Also, don't worry, because this will be fully explained in the tender documents and in info sessions, okay? And again, if you have questions, we really like questions. Once we publish the tender documents, we are expecting your questions and we will reply to all of them, okay? Please also check deadlines, because that's also something that has happened in some other projects. People ask questions after the deadline and then it's a problem. So once we publish the tender documents, please immediately check when is the deadline of the Q&A, and just then ask all the questions that you have. We will reply to all of them. And the last envelope is the envelope C, the financial one, because of course I need to understand what is your proposed budget. Again, please make sure that this budget is within the frame, within the limits of the allocated budget per contractor per phase that we just discussed. Okay, so for example, in phase 1, as it is said right now, do not overstep the 20K thresholds, because that is a cause for exclusion. Don't worry, you will also see that, because we have prepared already a grid where you can indicate all your cost, personnel cost, R&D cost, and so on. So it's all really clear. And then in the end, you just need to indicate your budget per phase, and it's really easy for you to check, compare your budget and then the maximum budget per phase. So we are trying to really make it as intuitive as possible, because of course we understand this is not easy. It's a lot of documentation, it's a complex procedure. So we are trying to make it as easy as possible for you already in the tender documents, already in these sessions. And of course, If you have questions, we do understand that you have questions. Come back to us, ask as many questions as you want. Also use the possibility to ask as many questions as you want today, because we will be answering all of them and then making a recap of them, of the questions. Yes, I think this is my last slide, and then I will just let other people explain to you more things about Theresa PCP. But what we want you to understand is that ideally we will award 5 phase 1 contracts. We will award these five phase 1 contract. Please, this is super important. It is not possible to jump in phase 2 or phase 3, meaning that only participants of phase 1 can participate in phase 2 and phase 3. So if you want to participate and you think that you have already a solution design, that's great, but still submit your proposal now, because we are not reopening competition for phase 2 and phase 3, okay? If you decide not to participate to phase 1, you will not be able to participate on a later stage. You will actually be able to participate once PCP Theresa is over, if we launch a procurement procedure to buy commercial volumes. But that's another thing, okay? Just bear that in mind. And that's really all on my side. I will stop sharing my screen. I will now check the Q&A to see if I can already start answering some questions. But of course, I'm going to be here for the rest of the session. If you have questions that you want me to reply live, I will be here for the Q&A. And thank you so much for your attention and your interest in Theresa PCP. We are super excited to have you here. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Anna. I would say that, honestly, I don't think anybody would expect that after this very intense and rich of information slide, you will remember it all. But as it was said, the event will be recorded and the slides will be made available. So if you have some questions, and I bet you will have questions, then you can either ask the questions or you can go and listen to the Anna's presentation again and look at the slides, because it's really rich of information about the BCPs. I think I also will come for the next OMC as well to listen to third time, and maybe finally, it will become clear. It's not an easy process. So now we have discussed what is the PCP, how it looks like, but there was another wonderful acronym called OMC, not OMG, but OMC, Open Market Consultation. And I'm very happy to hand over the floor to Sofia Moreno, the partner from Spain in the project, who will share information about what is the open market consultation.
Thank you, Terj. I'll do my best to make it clearer. Well, my name is Sofia Moreno. I'm representing Sani Consulting. Am I sharing my screen?
Not yet.
Please let me know when it comes. It is going from Spain to Tallinn, so it could take some few seconds. Well, first of all, as Annabelle explained, the pre-commercial procurement, the PCP that we are implementing, is about purchasing or buying research and development services to cover a need that so far is not solved by the market and is shared by several hospitals simultaneously. Could you see my screen? Okay. Then we are working with the team of hospitals that share this need that is not so far covered by the solutions available out of the shelf in the market. And despite we have experts on board and that we have studied the state of the art that is publicly available out there, we are defining the functional requirement, the problem that we have, not the solution, the problem that we have and that we expect the market to solve. But still, we cannot be aware of everything going out of there. And we want to know from you, from the industry, from the research ecosystem, if what we are asking for is, on one hand, feasible, if we are not asking the moon, and on the other hand, ambitious enough, so that we are asking for something that is future-proof. And we need to find the right balance in our requirements between having innovative, disruptive solutions and still feasible for the market. So we want the open market consultation is primarily an open dialogue with the industry to check if our assumptions are correct, if our approaches makes the life of the industry as easy as possible, if we want to understand the market rules to shape our business model to the industry one. So this open dialogue has a multi dimensions, and we need your feedback to be sure that what we publish is tailored to the industry convenience and capacity. Also, we want to inform and to create awareness between all the ecosystem of developers around this field on the opportunities that the tender that will be published offer to the community, as Annabelle has been describing. So we want to encourage you all to be aware of our steps and be ready to tender with us. And because the solution that we expect is complex and comprehensive and ambitious, we don't expect that a single company would be able to offer the full solution. So we are conscious that the industry will need to create consortium to participate in our tender. The open market consultation process will also offer possibilities for the industry to know each other and to build a consortium and facilitate matchmaking. Who can join the open market consultation? We are open to the whole ecosystem, to all the entities with an interest in wastewater treatment, environmental technology, digital monitoring, automation, sensing, hospital infrastructure, and anything else that we have not written, but you know is important. So we expect, of course, all industries, big and small, and startups, research institutions and universities, organization knowing about environmental and water sector, peer entities such as hospital or any other public entity willing to be aware of what we have on hands and to give their views is also very much welcome. And well, you will also need to have coordinator in your consortiums or entities knowing about the rules of procurement and pre-commercial procurement, etc. So all those entities are welcome to provide us with their feedback and to participate in this open dialogue. What does the open market consultation offer for supplier? Well, first, to know our needs and priorities from the Theresa buyer groups. to be aware and to have first-hand information about the future tender of our pre-commercial procurement. You will be known by the community participating in Theresa, both hospitals and companies, etc. But the main goal that we have with your participation is to tailor the future tender to the possibilities and limitations of the participant companies. So our tender should be perfectly adapted to what is feasible and possible for you, industry mainly, or researchers. And for procurer, we need to cross-check and clarify if our assumptions for the call for tender are right, to get new information from the market from new ideas that we didn't consider, and to start attracting potential bidders to our tender. So, what are the doors that we open for this dialogue? First, we have events like this one. We already had one last January 8th that was an hybrid event in Navarra in Spain. Today we are here in Estonia. Unfortunately, we are not together. That would be very nice. And then we have another one, January 19 in Poland, January 23 in Belgium, January 26 in the Netherlands, and then in February 26 we will have a wrap-up event presenting the main finding out of this open market consultation process. This event will be similar but not the same. In each of the events, first we will focus more on a concrete topic, like today Annabelle explained what is a pre-commercial procurement and what is the process of tendering. All you need to know to participate in our tender. In the next one, we will have a closer look to the state-of-the-art analysis that we made and what are our current description of functional and technical requirements. So it will be more technical, focused on the technical aspect. The one in Belgium will address more all the ethical, legal, interoperability aspect. In the Netherlands, we will explore further the verification and validation processes for phase 2 and 3, and to anticipate what our exploitation views. And in each of these events, the local hospital will describe more carefully what are their context, their parameters, their limitation, or their willing. So in each of the events, we will have a special focus on a topic and a special focus on the local hospital. So it will be great if you came with us to some of them. The recordings will be also available in our website. Then we have the possibility of including pitch into the event. So if you want to pitch in any of our events, please let us know. We will also have bilateral meeting with procurers. And to do these two things, it is mandatory to fill our questionnaire. But I will go back to our questionnaire just now. How you can give us your feedback? Well, the main resource that we have planned is the questionnaire. To fill our questionnaire, you have to go to our webpage, theresapcp.eu, And there you will find the open market consultation section. And there you have these two main components. On one hand, you have the scope document. The scope document is like the current available Bible about Theresa, where you can find the description of all the things that we have mentioned here and more things. You will find the preliminary description of our requirements, the preliminary description of our phases, budgets, etc. So you need to have this document on one hand, because you need to read it to be able to answer the questionnaire. If you go to the questionnaire, you will enter into the EU survey tool. It's a tool that the European Commission made available. And there you will find several sections. There is a section of mandatory fields with your names, etc., all contact data, blah, blah. This is mandatory. But don't be worried, because even if the questionnaire is very long, only this section will be mandatory. We don't expect you to fill everything that we have asked for in the questionnaire. We prefer quality to quantity, and we expect that you, researchers or industry or partner, fill in those sections for which you have valuable information. We expect that we don't expect that a single company will be able to satisfy all the requirements that we have. So we expect that companies have described their models, not the whole solution that they don't have, but what they do have. And if your company has several models, then please fill several questionnaires indicating that you have done so. Some of the sections includes tables where we have enumerated all the components or all the requirements that we expect you to address. In case you have this information already in another format, in a documents or wherever, please upload it, and we will extract the information from there. Please, if there is something important that we have not asked for, please let us know also, and provide information in any of the many fields that are open, or upload a document that will provide us sorry, that will provide us with this extra information. We will read carefully everything. And with respect to the questionnaire, be very careful, please, in properly submitting the questionnaire, because at the very end, you have this CAPTCHA, and be certain that you go through that and that your questionnaire is reaching us. Also, in the website, you will find the frequently asked questions that will be updated every week or every 2 weeks, depending on the many questions that we have. We will include here all questions that we answer by any means to any company, including those made during the events. So everyone will have access to the same information. If you fill into the questionnaire that you want to appear in the matchmaking tool, you will appear here in this section, so you can select companies with complementary profile, and you will appear there to be also selected. So we will receive information from you through our question and answer platform, through our questionnaire. If you pitch in our events, if you appear in the matchmaking platform, and if you ask for bilateral meeting, as I mentioned before. It is important to emphasize that any information that you provide will be treated as confidential when it is identified as such by you, and that we will use all the information in an anonymized way. And if you want a specific section to be treated as confidential, please identify it as such, so we will treat it consequently. Participating in the open market consultation will not be any advantage for the future participation in the tender selection process. It will be useful to tailor our requirements to the information that you facilitate, but that will not mean that you will have any preference in the process that Annabelle previously described. Please share with us your thoughts, your disruptive innovation, and let us have a more clear view of what we have on hand. Thank you very much.
Great. I see that there is quite a lot of traffic in the chat room already. The questions are coming and the answers are coming. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, everybody who is contributing to the questions. And yeah, I encourage you to ask now, or of course, you can ask at any time later as well, because it is an open and transparent market consultation. Now, I would say that you take this opportunity to really have this event in Estonia as a partner on the exam, as the partner in this pre-commercial procurement project. We are happy to share with you what we are and what our problems are, why we are participating in this project. North Estonia Medical Center is one of the 3 tertiary level hospitals in Estonia. We are to some extent in some aspects, for example, our budget is the biggest in Estonia, and sometimes I am when presenting the hospital I say that if people cannot get help in our hospital, then the next stop is Karolinska or Helsinki University Hospital. In principle, we provide healthcare services in all specialties, except that we do not have obstetrics and we do not treat children below the age of 14, but the children hospital actually is just across the street from here, and some of the services we certainly share. In our group called North Estonia Medical Center, which in Estonian is Põhja-Eesti Regionaalhaigla, are also 3 daughter hospitals, which are located outside Tallinn, 60 kilometers to south in Rapla, 100 kilometers to west at the coastline in Haapsalu, and one of our daughter hospitals is on the second biggest island, Hiiumaa. we have 2,222 islands in Estonia, so you can imagine that it's the second biggest island where we operate. Altogether, we provide the service for approximately 500,000 people annually. Our case mix index is highest in Estonia, which clearly demonstrates that we have complex patients. We have patients who come to us for the treatment of serious cases or for the tests and differential diagnostics in almost in all specialties. And our catchment area is North and West Estonia, but in principle, the statistics have demonstrated that we serve patients from all over Estonia, which is, as you know, not very big country. We have 1.3 million people living here, which in some cases is equal to one district of a big city, let's say in Paris. We are strong in, as I said, that basically 40 specialties, but some areas are perhaps the strongest in Estonia, or we can really say that the services that were provided are up to date and also at the global level. We are a leading oncology center, which is in particular important in the context of this project. We are doing almost all services except the heart transplantation, which we do in Helsinki together with the Helsinki University Hospital specialist. Otherwise, all cardiological services are really at the world top level here. We are also the biggest psychiatric center in Estonia, the blood center. I would say that as Tallinn is the capital and the North Estonia is really accumulating nearly, I would say that 40% of the citizens, we are the largest trauma center. And for example, for the burns, we are the only center providing that service in Estonia. But I am, on top of that, I am also happy to say that we are very open to innovation. We call ourselves pioneers in healthcare services, and we are very eager to cooperate in this field to other hospitals, to other companies all over Europe and worldwide. And also, we are not the university hospital. I would say that we are also a teaching hospital, because throughout the year, we have approximately 180 doctor residents specializing in our hospital. We have students from starting from the fourth year, doctor students having their clinical studies here, and we are nearly, I would say, the home for the nursing college in Tallinn, plus all other specialties that are studying with us, including the Tallinn Technology University, where our engineering capacity is coming from, and also working close with the Estonian Academy of Arts, which sounds weird. However, it has been demonstrated in last 5, 6, 7 years that the service design is one of these areas that is worth to work with in order to improve the quality of our services. So what I can say is that I thought for a long time that, okay, Estonia is small, so our big hospitals are not so big. Until I was sharing in one panel floor with the colleague from Graz University Hospital, who introduced her hospital as the huge one. And then it turned out that they have the same number of beds. So since then, I'm saying that I'm coming from the huge hospital. In the context of Theresa PCP, few words that I would like to highlight. First of all, we are in the north. If I could show you the beauty of the weather that we have right now outside, then I would imagine that the colleagues in Spain would be jealous, because we have winter, we have snow, we have sunshine, and we have minus 10 degrees temperature. Fantastic, I love it. So, but we have to keep it in mind when we are thinking about everything that we do with the water. And it also addresses the wastewater, because that is something that you have to consider. Secondly, the strict environmental regulation. Baltic Sea is a very sensitive partner to work with. It's small, it is kind of end of the flow, because that is the connection with the ocean is through the Danish Channel, which is narrow and far. So we have to consider this as the pond to some extent. Baltic Sea ecosystem is a very important aspect to consider. We have a very quite limited wastewater monitoring infrastructure. So that is something that we have to consider as the third point. And finally, we have to emphasize the building management system integration for the controls, and the importance of cybersecurity aspect in this data management. That is something that may consider as something outside of the interest of this project. However, for us, this management system considers the meet compliance with the ISO 20000 or the 80 standard. So these are the points that are important. And again, these slides will be available. So if one of these four, you will think that that was something more, then please go and check what are these conditions that we are talking about. Now I will hand over to a colleague of mine, Taavi Aare. He is the head of our infrastructure services and is partnering with Andra on putting this together and ensuring that the infrastructure meets all what we are expecting. So Taavi, will I show the slides? Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Taavi, and hereby I briefly introduce you some keywords and characteristics about our hospital from the infrastructure perspective. Firstly, our main building is approximately about 100,000 square meters big. On site, we have approximately 200 toilets. Our annual water consumption is about 87,000 cubic meters, with monthly average about 7.5 cubic meters. Water and wastewater services are provided by the local water utility company, and our mixed wastewater volume is not measured separately. It is based on water consumption. Our sewage system consists of 14 outgoing sewage channels that lead to one larger collection point from which wastewater is transferred to city central wastewater treatment plant. We currently do not segregate wastewater, but there are 3 grease traps installed in the site to separate the grease from the wastewater. Whatever solution somebody develops or proposes, please keep in mind that limited additional space must be considered. Our standard toilets room with utility area are about 1.5 to 4 square meter big. Whatever outdoor installation requires approval from the city government. It is possible, but it involves some bureaucracy. We encourage to find a modularity solution that allows the phase deployment. And also, please note, the vibration is not allowed, and indoor noise level must be between 35 to 40 decibels. Our standard toilet exhaust ventilation is available, no special ventilation system. Integration with the existing building management system is required. Our network protocols are BACnet IP and Modbus RTU, and the solution must be compatible with these network protocols. We don't allow third-party remote access to our building management system. And please keep in mind that our hospital operates 24/7, and making quiet conditions and minimal disruption is essential. And finally, from my point, please remember, when you're searching for a solution or innovate, please follow simple rule: less is more. Thanks and good luck.
I'm trying to get back to my screen, but that doesn't work. Yeah. No. Stop sharing. I just wanted to say that using this word that is an additional bureaucracy, please don't get hesitated by this. I would call it needs an additional documentation, because that is something that sounds better. So yeah, there are some requirements that we have to meet in order to please not only the environment in terms of nature, but also environment in which we operate. And these type of projects are quite rich in these requirements that we have to meet when it comes to the tenders and procurement, and in particular this multiple stage of tenders. So yeah, we will see, but don't get hesitated by the word of documentation. We don't call it bureaucracy here. Now we are reaching the stage where we have spoken a lot. We have presented what is the pre-commercial procurement as a process, what is the open market consultation, what is our hospital, the North Estonian Medical Center about, and what are our expectations and considerations as the hospital towards this project. Now we have a time for pitches. It means that the companies who have indicated their interest to share their information have now the floor and opportunity to share information and to share the slides as well. So who is our first speaker in that list? I'm not sure that I have it with me, the name. Sergey is first. Bartosz has helped me out. Thank you. Bartosz, the floor is yours. Sergey, the floor is yours.
Kas mind on kuulda? Kas mind on kuulda?
Ja, on väga hästi on kuulda. We can hear you.
Ma ei näe, kust ma saaksin I'm sorry, I cannot see where I could share the presentation.
Can you share the slides of Sergey? I think we have done it before as well, that we are sharing the slides. Great, thanks.
Oh, great, thank you. Well, 5 minutes then. From the title at the first slide, abatement of pharmaceuticals from hospital wastewater, pulsed corona discharge plasma. So we are talking about removal of pharmaceuticals by using so-called pulsed corona discharge plasma. And in the picture, you can see the window to the reactor in which electrodes are glowing with beautiful plasma. So next slide would be nice to see. So I start with the picture. The picture shows the hospital wastewater before and after treatment. So the color comes from urobilin and the sediment. What you can see, according to the international norms, for person is like 2 liters of sediment per day per person, of sludge containing 2% of dry substances. On the right, you can see the treated wastewater, which contains colloids but contains practically no pharmaceuticals. So the idea of the cost-effective approach, we have 2 channels of pharmaceuticals disposal. It's human urine and the other stuff, which is a solid phase. So as you can see from the picture, the solid phase always is there, and for effective treatment of water, the solid phase has to be separated from aqueous phase for more effective treatment. So the sludge could be treated separately, it must be treated separately at municipal site. This is the cost-effective idea, that we remove pharmaceuticals from water, because biological treatment and municipal site is unable to handle those. Bacteria do not want to eat medical drugs mostly, so we perhaps need to remove them at the pre-treatment stage at the hospital site. So the idea is to apply so-called advanced oxidation process on water treatment, and a few words about that from the next slide. I would like to see next slide then. Can I see the next slide, please? Thank you. Yes, so we may apply any of advanced oxidation processes, but the problem of those is high cost. Advanced oxidation processes are expensive. So the idea is to reduce the cost. To reduce the cost, we provide pulsed corona discharge plasma, which is 2 to 10 times more energy efficient than existing conventional, for example, ozonation. So we save a lot of energy with that. At the picture, you may say the plasma glow. Can we please see the next slide? Thank you. The idea of the pulse corona discharge plasma actions is to generation of OH radicals, these hydroxyl radicals, which are formed from water molecules at the gas-liquid interface. So water is sprinkled into the plasma zone, and at the surface of droplets, jets, and films, we observe beautiful phenomena of oxidation, of very powerful oxidation. Plus, we also observe ozone generation in the discharge. The idea of the surface character of the reaction is the feature of this approach, because by lucky coincidence, big molecules of most of pharmaceuticals are also gathered at the plasma liquid interface. So where they meet, our hydroxyl radicals, and this is the key issue for selective removal of pharmaceuticals from highly polluted wastewater. Next slide, please. Thank you. Experience. We have experience at the hospital in the city of Lappeenranta called South Karelia Central Hospital, with the numbers given at the slide, 200 beds, something like that. And another site where the method was tested was in Espoo, Finland, where biologically treated wastewater was treated. So it's not exactly what the Theresa project is looking for, but the first site in South Karelia was exactly what we are talking about: the pre-treatment of wastewater to remove pharmaceuticals. At the picture, you can see the pilot device produced by the partner in this project, who we are looking for, and the partner is Vuoksi Osakeyhtiöt from Lappeenranta, Finland. They also participate in this meeting. Please, next slide. Expected impact. The idea is that the question is not about water. Water will be treated perfectly well with plasma, so that no trace of pharmaceuticals will be leaving there. The question of the energy dose, we have to provide maximum like 2 kilowatt-hour per cubic meter of water. But the question is about the sediments, the settlings. The settlings which inevitably present in wastewater need further treatment, which is either the disposal to the municipal mains. The question is how the pharmaceuticals from the settlings are transformed, or better transported back to water, is the question. We need to find it out. Nobody knows that. There are preliminary data that the extraction ability of water is moderate. We do not lose too much of pharmaceuticals from the settling to the water, to treated water. And another option is to treat the settlings autonomously at the site, which is a separate question. We have a few ideas how to do that, but it is about the further discussions. The last slide, please. So, as I said, we are working in a tandem with between Tallinn University of Technology. We have the laboratory devices better. We are the laboratory of environmental technology. We know a lot about water and settling treatment, and the manufacturer of plasma devices is Vuoksi Osakeyhtiöt from Lappeenranta, Finland. They provide devices with power up to 3.5 kilowatt of pulsed power. So this is it I wanted to say at the moment. Maybe in the next meeting I say something different. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sergey. I think that, yeah, indeed, that's the beauty of this series of OMC events, that in each and every event there is something old, something new, and you can always modify your presentation and the pitching. And yeah, and we will certainly remember what is the, repeated in your presentation. Now, that is the beauty of these Teams meetings, because we do not have to fly all together at the same event place, but we can move around in Europe. We have been already flying to Spain, but now it's the turn is with the Netherlands. Matthijs Maris from the company named Zero or Zero. I may be wrong here because that sounds in between the languages. The floor is now.
That's correct.
Oh, how was correct? Zero.
The zero is correct. It's an
Zero.
abbreviation of zero as in nil and O as in French for water. So nothing in the water.
That's very good combination of these two words. So, Matthijs.
I will try to share my screen. If it works, it works. Otherwise, we have a problem because I didn't share any slides in advance because it was a little bit on a late schedule, but maybe it works. Does it work? Can you see something?
It works. It works.
All right.
Absolutely. It's not in presentation mode, but we see. Yeah, thank you.
Often when I put it in presentation mode, it doesn't work anymore. Is that correct? Yeah. Shall I give it a try?
I also tried somehow that didn't work, but then I found another screen where it suddenly appeared as a presentation mode. So that are beautiful.
Is it now in presentation mode?
No, it is not, but it's fine. It's fine. Problem.
Oh, but on my screen, it's in presentation mode. So I stop screen sharing and then I share again. Sorry. Hold on 1 second and I'll be back soon. Okay. Should not be here. Now it's back again. Okay. Sorry for the short break. Zero is a Dutch company, as you said, with a French name. And we were talking in this presentation about the TRLs and the pre-market consultation and the joint R&D that you are aiming. And for us, it's always good to further develop our systems, but we have quite some systems on the market already that perfectly fit into your goals. So I just wanted to share this with you, and we are really looking forward to come into the discussion with all kind of other market parties and the hospitals in order to see how our solutions can be further developed and maybe fit for the future. So what are we? We are a smart water technology company who filters at the source, so the patient level, with sanitary solutions like toilets. We reduce the medical pollution to the water, and we recover and strive for circularity of raw materials like radiology contrast media, as is iodinated contrast media or gadolinium-based contrast media. We get them back because those are scarce materials. And in certain levels, we increase treatment capacity. This is something to do with nuclear medicine. I will not go into this, but this is very, very specific. So what we do, we have solutions, of course, needed in every point of the water chain from community production, pharmaceutical, etc., and also for the hospital, the department, and the specialty, the patient, and maybe even at home, because a lot of people are using it at home. Of course, we are focusing on the green rectangular shape and typically in the department and specialty level. So what are we producing? We produce toilets for nuclear medicine, where patients excrete radioactive substances as part of their cancer treatments. We provide sanitary solutions on a toilet level or a group of toilet levels for radiology. And we build systems for ICU, pharmacy, etc. And they all have filters inside. So, and those filters are consumables. And in the Netherlands, we even maintain, because that is our background. In the past, we were involved in the building of wastewater treatment plants on the level of a hospital. And there are still a few in the Netherlands installed, which we maintain. So that is a complete solution. But we, in our current product line, we believe that it's because you have a highly concentrated, very near to the patient medical stream. It is more interesting to dive into the toilet level than to treat all the water at the end of the pipe of a hospital. So at the moment we have 30+ hospital projects, merely in the Benelux area, but also in Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, Czech Republic, and Poland. And this is how some of our systems look like. For radiology, we have systems like this blue one and this white one. For nuclear medicine, a bit more, stainless steel-like, and some very small things to process urines only, coming from catheter bags, for example, at ICUs. We would like to further develop, because we don't cover all the departments yet. But I would like to be involved in your program and see where this will lead to. Thank you very much.
Dank u wel.
Alsjeblieft. Your Dutch is improving.
Indeed. Living 15 years in Belgium, that has had an impact on me. Now, we don't have today more pitches. Probably that, as I see that this traffic in our chat room is quite heavy, there is still some time left for preparing the questions and answers. So before that summary of Q&A, I would just like to share some information about what happens next. So if you are a potential supplier in our OMC today, then Jakob, I am not sharing the screen. What a pity. I thought I am. Now, now you see the slides. Yes. Great. Fantastic. So if you are a potential supplier, please sign up for the following online events. The next one, as it was already said, will be in Poland. Don't worry, you don't have to travel there. It will be also in the team context. All the links are available. And then in Belgium, I think it was the next one. Then provide the feedback. The questionnaire, it was already said that there is a lot of questions, but you don't have to fill in all the answers, but some parts of it are important. If you have questions, take an opportunity and ask your questions, because it is important that we will get the answers to all unclarities. On top of that, maybe something has not been said at all. Search for potential partners. Participating in our OMC online events, that gives an opportunity to listen to others, to see maybe there is the potential collaboration possible. Maybe there are overlapping interests. Maybe there are overlapping solutions that you can just improve via working together. Share the project and information about this with other stakeholders that you know, and most likely you know, because if you're working on this field, then you know who your competitors are, and maybe they become partners. And now about the key dates. Today we are having this open market consultation, which will finalize by the end of February. Then in May will be published the tender and evaluation of bids, the contract award. And then from the beginning of next year, in January 2027 until March, we expect to go through the phase 1. That is the design of the solution. Then from July to April will be the prototype development, phase 2. And from August 2028 up to May 2029, when we have to close up the project, we will get to the phase 3. And I really, really hope that we will have the validation in the real operational environment in 2029. It seems like it is long way to go, but actually the time passes very, very fast. So now let's not think about what happens in 2029. In January 2026, we will have ahead of us, January 19 is the OMC in Poland, then followed by Belgium, January 23, where the focus will be slightly different in each and every OMC, and then in the Netherlands in January 26. And the wrap-up event will be in 26th of February. The link is not yet there, but it will be once we get there. So this is in brief what is ahead of us. I think we have done a great job today with a lot of information, but some questions have already got an answer. Maybe some answers are still in preparation, but I would now hand over the floor to colleagues who have maybe would like to add something on that. What has been asked, what the answers are available, what happens next with this. Is somebody from our Spanish team available to do that? Jon?
Yeah.
Are there?
Yeah, Terje. Yeah, we will do a recap of the questions and answers that have been flowing in the chat. Okay. So today we had many questions, many technical development questions. So we will try to give an answer as clear as possible, and remember that everything that you still don't really know about the process, you can ask to us, and we will answer you after the event. So there were some questions about the PCP process, okay, about the matchmaking tool. So there was a question on that, if there was a matchmaking tool of the project site. I think we have showed you the matchmaking tool. It is available in our website. You can fill the form, and your company will appear in that section of the tool. Okay. There are another question about if the companies that already presented the solutions in other events are expected to be presented again. It's not that we are expecting for you to do it, okay? But if there is room for you to do it, and you are willing to explain something different, something additional that you already presented in the previous event, you are more than welcome, okay? So we will prioritize the new companies, but if there is space available, we won't have any problem with you presenting it again, okay? And then regarding the technology development questions, okay, and the first question was that as the hospitals that will take part of the phase 2 are already defined, Consorcio Hospitalario de Vic and Hospital Virgen de la Macarena, and the prototypes will be built according to these hospital needs, will the phase 3 be implemented in the same hospitals? The short answer is no. Okay, in phase 2, we are developing some prototypes that will be tested in lab conditions in these 2 hospitals. Okay, there we will test the capacity to remove the toxic substances. These substances are specified in the requirements, okay, and these requirements have been defined by all the hospitals of the project, okay. This will be described in the tender documents, and then the 2 successful solutions will be tested in 4 hospitals in the phase 3. Okay, 2 solutions in one of the hospitals and 1 solution in 2 hospitals and another solution in another 2 hospitals. Okay, we will give you all the information about these documents. Okay, about these requirements and the whole process in the tender documents. Okay. Then the next question is, may phase 1 be testing of a hospital wastewater at a laboratory device? The expected results are energy doses and the performance of the lab scale device. Is this the idea? Here the answer is that phase 1 is the design of the solution, not really the testing or at early stage testing, okay? So we need you to define a proposal to address the challenge and the future work of the following phases 2 and 3. As Annabelle said, we need you to take part in the phase 1 in order to go through the next phases. Okay, you can't jump in the second or the third phase directly. We need you in the first phase. The third question is, should the solution design being supported by experimental data, previous experiments, for example? The answer is that under the selection criteria, we will likely ask for previous project references, okay, in this field. But in principle, it is not necessary that your solution is supported by data. It can be, if theoretically it makes sense, it can also be suitable for the process. Okay. Having said that, if you are basing your solution on previously patented solution or data sets, we will ask you to declare it and to ensure that you have full right to use those and that we will be able to use the solution based on that previous background, okay? Is there another question, okay? Is there instrumental analysis provider in the existing consortium? Technology needs control of the pharmaceutical contents at the realistic hospital wastewater scale. And the answer is that the setup of each hospital is very different, okay? In each of the OMC sessions, each hospital will give you some insights of these needs, okay? And about the setup. But this will also be clarified in the tender documents, in all the Q&A, process, and also in the feedback that we will provide during the different phases, okay? Another question is that to be able to submit a suitable solution design for phase 1, the list of compounds that are to be eliminated should be available to suppliers. Various enhanced wastewater treatment solutions may remove various compounds of groups of compounds. Would you prefer that the suppliers list all the possible chemical compounds that are said to be eliminated? The answer is that this list of compounds is available in the questionnaire, okay? The whole list is available in the questionnaire. You can go through it, and we need that feedback from you, okay, in order to know if these demands are reasonable, if what we ask makes sense, if we are asking too much, or if what we are asking is achievable from your side, okay? Another question is that in most hospitals, wastewater streams are not segregated. Is it expected that the section-specific tanks can be implemented, or a unique tank to be integrated into the pilot system? The answer is that it is not decided yet, okay? That it will depend on the location of each hospital. It will depend on the situation of each of the procurers, okay? And whether also we or you decide where the installation of the pilot takes place inside the hospital. So it will depend on future developments and in each of the hospital's situation, okay? And then we have some specific questions to Taltech, okay, that were already answered in the chat, but we will also read them, okay? And the question is that we just heard that about Estonian biggest hospital with a remarkable amount of outflow of wastewater, how plasma technology degrades organic compounds in the meaning, what will be the biodegradability of wastewater flowing into the Tallinn treatment plant. The answer from Sergey was that oxidative treatment always improves biodegradability of wastewater. It is the matter of energy dose. Being tricky at the small doses, they are all mineralized with increasing energy dose. As to the wastewater flow in Tallinn, it's 10 cubic meters per hour, okay, or 87,000 cubic meters per year. So these were all the questions, all the answers. Keep in mind that you can still keep making us questions. We will be more than happy to answer them, okay? And we will also publish all the questions and answers that have been gathered within this process, and we will make them public.
Muchas gracias. Now, if there is still not enough information or something is missing, and of course, keep in mind that the project has just kicked off. The project has ahead life until 2029. So perhaps it would be reasonable to subscribe to our newsletter to stay up to date. And here is the QR code for fast track to our newsletter. Otherwise, I would like to thank everybody online who has stayed with us for the entire session. Very much like to thank the pitchers. Suur aitäh, Sergei, thank you well, Matthias. And muchas gracias to our colleagues in Spain, partners Dziękuję in Poland, and wherever you are from. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. I hope you remember the dates for the next events, because the aspects will be slightly different. Some perhaps will be repetition, but repetition is a mother of the knowledge, as we all know. So unless there are something urgent coming from my colleagues here around the table, no. And we just will not ask whether anybody has any other business, not today. Then thanks again, and looking forward to see you around either at the next OMC or at the tender. Suur aitäh, kohtumiseni. Tere, your